Why you feel lonely even around people. Have you ever been surrounded by people, and still felt completely alone? Maybe you've sat at a table full of friends, listened to conversations, laughed at the right moments, and yet somehow felt disconnected from everyone around you. Maybe your phone is filled with notifications, messages, and group chats. Yet when the day ends, there's still a feeling that something is missing. It's a strange kind of loneliness. Not the loneliness that comes from having nobody around you, but the loneliness that comes from feeling unseen. And if you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. Because one of the biggest misconceptions about loneliness is that it only happens when we're physically isolated. The truth is, some of the loneliest people are surrounded by others every single day. So why does this happen? Why can someone have friends, family, classmates, co-workers, or even thousands of followers online and still feel lonely? The answer has less to do with the number of people around you and more to do with something every human being deeply needs. Connection. Part 1. Loneliness isn't about being alone. When most people hear the word loneliness, they imagine someone sitting alone in a dark room. But loneliness isn't simply the absence of people. It's the absence of meaningful connection. Think about it. You can spend an entire day interacting with people without actually connecting with anyone. You can exchange greetings, talk about school, discuss work, comment on social media posts, share memes, and still never feel truly understood. Many conversations today stay on the surface. People ask how you're doing, but often don't wait for a real answer. People talk, but they don't always listen. People communicate, but they don't always connect. As a result, many individuals experience what psychologists sometimes describe as emotional loneliness. This happens when your deeper thoughts, feelings, fears, and experiences remain hidden from the people around you. You may have company, but you don't feel understood. And that's a very different experience. Because humans don't just need interaction. Humans need connection. Part 2. The mask we wear. One reason many people feel lonely is because they're constantly wearing a mask. Not a physical mask. A social mask. The version of ourselves that we show the world. For example, some people become the funny friend. Others become the strong one. The responsible one. The cheerful one. The helper. The people pleaser. Over time, these roles become so familiar that they start replacing authenticity. You learn to show only the parts of yourself that others seem to accept. You hide your fears, your insecurities, your struggles, your doubts. And while this might help you fit in, it creates an unexpected problem. People begin connecting with the version of you that you're performing. Not the version of you that is real. Imagine standing in a room where everyone likes you, but none of them truly know you. That can feel incredibly lonely. Because deep down, every person wants to be accepted for who they genuinely are. Not for the character they've created. Not for the image they've carefully maintained. But for their real self. When that need isn't met, loneliness often appears. Even in crowded rooms. Part 3. Why social media can make it worse. Technology has made communication easier than ever before. We can talk to people across the world instantly. We can share photos, thoughts, and updates within seconds. Yet despite all of this connectivity, loneliness continues to affect millions of people. Why? Because being connected isn't the same as feeling connected. Social media often creates the illusion of closeness. You see people's lives. You know what they're eating, where they're traveling, who they're spending time with. But knowing information about someone isn't the same as having a meaningful relationship with them. In fact, constantly seeing the highlights of other people's lives can make us feel even more isolated. We start comparing. We wonder why everyone else seems happier, more successful, more loved, more connected. But what we usually see online is a carefully selected version of reality. Behind many smiling photos are people dealing with struggles nobody knows about. The problem is that comparison convinces us we're the only ones feeling lonely, when in reality, many people around us are experiencing the exact same thing. Part 4. The fear of being vulnerable. Another reason loneliness persists is fear. Specifically, the fear of vulnerability. Opening up is risky. When you share your real thoughts and feelings, you give people an opportunity to understand you. But you also give them an opportunity to reject you. And that's scary. So instead, many people stay guarded. They keep conversations safe, predictable, comfortable. They avoid discussing things that truly matter. They avoid showing weakness. They avoid asking for help. Unfortunately, meaningful connection requires vulnerability. It's difficult for someone to know the real you if they only see the parts you're willing to display. The strongest relationships are often built when people feel safe enough to be honest, to admit their fears, to share their struggles, to say, "I'm not okay." Without vulnerability, relationships often remain shallow. And shallow relationships rarely satisfy our deepest emotional needs. Part 5. What your brain is actually experiencing. What's fascinating is that loneliness isn't just an emotional experience. It's also a biological one. Humans evolved as social creatures. For thousands of years, belonging to a group increased our chances of survival. Because of this, our brains are designed to pay close attention to social connection. When we feel disconnected from others, the brain can interpret that experience as a threat. That's why loneliness can feel physically painful. It's not just in your imagination. Many people describe loneliness as an ache, a heaviness, a sense of emptiness. And while occasional loneliness is normal, prolonged loneliness can affect motivation, mood, confidence, and overall well-being. Your brain is essentially sending a message. Not that something is wrong with you, but that something important is missing. Connection. Part 6. The real solution. So what can you do if you feel lonely, even around people? The answer isn't necessarily finding more friends. It's creating deeper connections. Instead of focusing on quantity, focus on quality. Look for people who make you feel heard. People who listen without judgment. People who allow you to be yourself. And when possible, take small risks. Be a little more honest. A little more vulnerable. A little more real. Meaningful connection often begins when someone chooses authenticity over perfection. Not everyone will understand you. And that's okay. The goal isn't to be understood by everyone. The goal is to be understood by someone. Even one genuine connection can make a profound difference. If you've been feeling lonely lately, remember this. Loneliness doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean nobody cares about you. And it doesn't mean you'll feel this way forever. Sometimes loneliness is simply a reminder of what every human being needs. To be seen. To be understood. To be accepted. Not for who they pretend to be, but for who they truly are. Because at the end of the day, the opposite of loneliness isn't being surrounded by people. It's feeling connected to them. And maybe the connection you've been looking for starts with allowing someone to see the real you.